see the clock.
Yeah. So tongotaura ni common sense, and we relate it to Mkoma Masimba.
Okay.
And somebody who defined what
Common sense is.
what he thinks common sense is. So let me just copy and paste that.
Okay.
Where are we now? We still have
0050, 0049, 0048.
Okay. Yeah, Agushika.
0026.
All right. Oh, 26, okay. Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Elvis Mugari. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Yesterday and off the screen, we were having an interesting conversation. And
Yes,
one of the conversations is about the lessons from Bukure Benzi. Who is the Benzi? The reader or the author?
Now it needs common sense for understanding who is the Benzi, because actually Bukure Benzi is the Benzi, the author or the reader. It can actually imply to one, because Bukure Benzi can only be read, I think, nemapenzi oro benzi riri kuverenga bhuku rakanyorwa nebenzi. So actually it requires the application of common sense so that we understand what exactly do we mean by bhuku rebenzi and what prompt us to say bhuku rebenzi.
No, it's not us. It is the author who has declared himself to be Benzi, and therefore he is taking the next step to record his experiences wearing the head of an insane or mentally challenged person. He is the one who has qualified or tested himself and has said he is fit to be insane. And Father Mawere, I send you a message on. I've not seen it. I got 20,000 messages, but it comes. Baba, I send you a message on WhatsApp. Will come back to me. Or I have a lot of messages, but that's why we are saying let's build a community, Pastor, so that no single individual would be a beneficiary of private messages requiring response. Sometimes 24 hours is not enough for me to be doing the things that I need to do just to stay alive. So I may not have seen it. If I have seen it, I may be struggling to respond without the benefit of an organization that allows others to respond. Mawana Pakugara Ere, I don't know where MM is, but he was going around looking for a place to stay. I haven't spoken to him since this morning when he appeared on a show that he then invited me. But from yesterday, he was also in agreement that this book is not understood. Tamari, do you understand why somebody will say Bukure Benzi, Iachinzi Benzi? Why didn't he just write it? If he wants to write and then we just read.
Does that mean that the content of the book is experiencing? Remember when he started to come out in the open saying he's coming up with the book, he said to me when I spoke to him that he was documenting his experiences, number one. Number two, he was talking about Pan-Africanism, and that was the sole reason why he wanted Professor Lumumba, Pilelo Lumumba of Kenya, to grace the occasion of the launch virtually. And also he said he was talking about politics in Zimbabwe and in the region. The reason why he wanted to engage Julius Malema to grace the occasion virtually. So we cannot say it is proper for us or for him, and we want to understand the reason why he named it Bukure Benzi. Because as much as I understand the issues of Pan-Africanism, which he included in the book, the issues of, maybe excluding his life experiences, and the issues of Zimbabwean politics, and the life and the issues of mental issues, mental challenges. It yes, absolutely nothing. We can now not grade these issues or put them under the umbrella that it's only the people who are insane can document this experience and put this experience together on the basis of insanity. So which included in the only the people who are insane can document this experience and put this experience together on the basis of insanity. So which included in the only the people who are insane.
Okay, go ahead. I think there was some cross broadcast here. You can go
so
ahead.
So okay, I was saying I don't think this is proper. Why and what is the basis which is giving us that the name that Bukure Benzi? While the issues which I believe he has included, and from the statement I read this morning, there are critical issues which is in the book. The issues of mental health from the people who are outside, from the people who are in the diaspora outside Zimbabwe. Also the issues which has to do with Pan-Africanism. Also the issues which has to do with the Zimbabwean politics, and actually his personal life. These are critical issues which cannot change to say they are issues which can be addressed with someone who is sane. Unless if we say, because we understand that because I think we need to differentiate between, if you say Muni Benz or this person is insane, does it mean that the person is ill? I think we need to clarify on the issue of being ill and the issue of being insane. Is insanity a sickness, or being ill is totally different from being ill? So I think I would want to be addressed, or to seek your understanding on to say, is insanity or is being insane a sickness? Is it a sickness? If it is a sickness,
then we are going at the topic that we intend to interrogate is when a person writes in the first instance about himself and calling it a book of penzi, and you apply your common sense. What kind of penzi would seek the book to have the title of what condition he's going in? Why didn't he just say, my story? Why do you have to give this flavor of penzi if indeed you are sick? If you are a doctor, you are a doctor. If you are a nurse, you are a nurse. If you are a lawyer, you are a lawyer. Why do you have to write a book and say Bukura lawyer? Because it's your story, yes, interfacing with other human beings who may not be insane. So what idea informs that idea of the title? Then you go further and say, I'm looking for my mother. Why would you look for your mother when part of community building is about relationships? And Tamari says mental illness has its own definition already. It is an illness mentally unwell. Does anyone remember that? And Sino said, Vama were va replace MM. Imagine that question alone. Now, say, Honorable Elvis, what do you get from that? How do you replace somebody who is a human being? Can you replace? Does that reflect common sense, logic, and reason that a human being can possibly be replaced or substituted?
It's not possible. Remember, human beings were created equal with unalienable rights, and it is not possible for someone to replace a human being. In any way, it's not possible. However, you mentioned the issue of common sense. Common sense in Mawere is not common. It depends, or it differs with people. People are different, and hence common sense will be different. So you at the end of the day realize that common sense is not common. But it is appalling to realize and to see some people asking.
If you look at Sino Jangwe, he says, I'm aware of a replacer MMRA. What does that mean?
No, I think the person is asking the question. I think the question you addressed some few days ago, that why are we broadcasting from MM's account, of which we addressed that in our quest to build a community, in our quest of building community, we all have 24 hours a day, and we cannot spend 24 hours a day doing one thing. It is important to build a community, that after building a community, we can divide and we can, you, Ms. Mawere, can do some things which I will not do in 1 hour or in 2 hours. Maybe I'll be busy doing something. When you are busy, you can do something in 1 hour. And in our way of interrogating this book, as we are saying, we are in the community, and this book is being launched with a member who has dedicated himself to be part of the community, of the C2C community, because he realized the value which is into C2C, in trying to make things work, in trying to...
Because Tamari says, pano andipanzwisise. Bye. So it means we are talking above a person like Tamari. So what we are saying is that we have questions. Somebody says, pano andipanzwisise. Instead of saying, I don't understand what Mawere is saying, what Elvis is saying, now the geography or the platform is given a voice by a person like Tamari. What does that show you about shared understanding of what a human being is and what a platform used by human beings is and is not? Do we have a shared understanding?
It definitely tells us that there is no shared understanding on what exactly a human being is and the difference between a human being and the platform which will be used. So there's no that shared understanding.
So can a platform speak for itself, invite people to its place, or it is the people that she finds boring? Instead of mentioning the names and say, Mawere, I don't understand what you are communicating. Can you bring it to my level? That doesn't happen. What you then get is this sharing, pano andipanzwisise. But if you don't understand it, if you just left on your own, what would be the difference other than provoking others to do something? So Eustace says, Tamari, ask Signor Murungu, he would tell you Vuramaziso. What does that mean, Eustace? What if Signor Murungu is saying he is the only one with eyes that penetrate what is not ordinary, and therefore he is exceptional? And what kind of mind is that would ask others to open their eyes, and not just open your eyes and proceed to act as if you know everything? How many people lack the sense that they're just one in many? How many people would want to elevate themselves and their eyes to see beyond what two eyes can see? So, Eustace, do you find that when you apply common sense, logic, and reason, behind that statement, behind that campaign, Vuramaziso, somebody is already saying something? Like munanonyora buku, achiti buku dere benzi. Because if you are benzi chairo, why would you need to announce in the book, in the title of the book, that ndiri benzi? Who has asked you? It's like somebody going around, I'm an architect. Then what? So why would somebody choose the title Buku Rebenzi or say Vuramaziso? I'm asking others to open their eyes while I'm closing mine. Why would you need to ask a dog to bark when it's going to bark anyway? If your eyes are open, create a platform that positions you as a multiple eye holder. So, Mutuma, you are intimidating people so as not to comment on your discussion. No, I'm not. I'm trying to provoke Munya so that you can speak as an intimidated person. Apply your logic, apply your reason. So, Munya, I want to hear from you. Are you intimidated? If so, how then can I intimidate you by words alone? Comment so that we can dig deeper. So I don't know, Elvis, are you intimidated?
No, I'm not intimidated.
But Munya is talking, you are intimidating people, not me. Imagine he had just changed that. I'm intimidated by what you have said, and the following is my own take on the same issue of logic, common sense.
And is
Because
Munya, the question to ask Munya is Munya a spokesperson for the people? And say you are intimidating the people. How did he reach out to that conclusion that you are intimidating the people? Or is there an assumption that maybe you have intimidated him, and by that virtue, all the people are being intimidated?
okay,
Are we in the animal farm? Yeah, are we talking about animal? Are we talking about animal? Are we in the animal farm?
and that's what
Are
I
we talking
see.
about? Are we talking about animal civilization?
No, we have Eustace says, are you saying words don't intimidate people? But Eustace, you are not people. If you are intimidated, Eustace, just say, I am intimidated by the English, by the context, by the content of what you are saying. Then let's get to solve that problem so that I may know how to change. You are already trying to intimidate me. Ah, that's a good one, Munya. How so? How can I intimidate you and you step forward and say what you have to say? And that makes a lot of sense because you are not the only one who may feel the same. So if you feel something, but what you feel, Munya, may not be what another person feels. But when you speak on behalf of others, it then carries the message that actually you are representing them. All I'm saying is, I have no wish to be here to intimidate anyone with words. But if you have something, I thought we can expand the conversation rather than me and Elvis just to talk among ourselves because we were talking anyway before we came on this platform. So if there's anything you want to talk to yourself, the two of you, no, we don't want to talk. That's why we are inviting you, Munya, to say something as a person, not as a representative of persons. Because we want you to stand on your legs, on your feet, so that you can speak for yourself what you feel. Then Makosionyi Kendai Nyasha, but Masimba Paye anga aonda kusakara yanga isiri nzara nokushaya accommodation here madyiro anga kuita akange oita muchipatara aisiririsa. I think that's an observation by Nyasha, and hopefully Mkwama Masimba would answer that, whether food was the problem or the mind was the problem. The only thing I wanted to interrogate is that when you are sick, you don't need to announce you're sick. When you have a mental issue, it's your mental issue. But in this case, we are getting somebody who is saying, I am writing a book and then disclaiming it to be a book of an insane person. So any comment as we wind up this show on your side? I know I was going to read the conversation that I had. Somebody was describing what common sense is, and it was in a WhatsApp group, and all I was asking him is, please don't compound your opinion. Just speak about what you think when you think it. Don't speak on behalf of others, because the others don't have.
Okay, I think Zvakakosha, it is important for us to understand that if someone is mentally ill, there is no need yekuti tifambe tichiti I am mentally ill. But those people who are around me can witness and see in change of behavior, in change of attitude and other things, that I think something is wrong with the mind. But in the concept of building community and coming up with an idea of documenting the experiences, and then it is important to document the experiences. And as you rightly said before, if I'm a lawyer, there's no need to document my experience and call this is a Bukura lawyer. Or if I'm a doctor, there's no need to document my experience and say Bukura lawyer. So it is a mystery which we really need to discover and solve. The reason why Mukoma Masimba had to name the book Bukure Benz. Is it what it is, the content which is in the book, or it's the state of mind of the writer, the author, or the state of mind of those who are going to read the book? So it is actually a mystery which we all need to solve, including him, Mukoma Masimba. But the quest is my last submission. I think we, as a community, the reason why we have been struggling as Zimbabweans, the reason why we find ourselves, even if you see the reactions on this platform, healing and reconciliation is very important, because it is difficult to tolerate one another as Zimbabweans. But the only way to solve the problem at the end is through building communities, organized communities, where we can come together as a people, where we can come together as individuals, but coming together in one group, in one community, with one common basic understanding, with a shared value of who we are as a people, where are we going as a people, what do we want to achieve as a people, and what is the problem we are facing as a people. So it is important to build this the organized community, because even if you look around the world, you realize that those who are prevailing and those who are moving forward, they are coming out from an organized communities and organized setups. Even the individual people who have made an impact in this world, they are coming out from organized communities and organized societies. But it takes effort of those who knows the value of coming together, the value of doing things as one people. It takes that idea and takes the strength and the resolute and the dedication of those people who knows the value of working together as one people to come together and say, this is the challenge we are having, and the challenge has been perennial, and we need to put a full stop to this perennial challenge by coming together, by coming up with an inclusive platform which will include all, but all can be included under a platform which we name C2C. And there is a value, and that is why you see Mukoma Mazimba himself realized the value in C2C and said, no, it is important for me to join. Because when we are in a community, everything will be flowing because we are helping. You are coming with your ideas.
But Elvis, you see, Munya says, but you guys are also using we. Me and you, if we count the number of we that we use, why should I then say, don't use we when I am just hypocritical and I'm using we? And
okay, I think we are using now because we are under a community. If you are a community, you cannot say I. Because when we are in a community, we are equal. If we are in a community, we are equal. The reason why we are using we. But now as individuals, we can use I because I personally understand and I personally know the value of being in a community as an individual.
But Elvis, what they are saying is we is the ordinary, is the majority of us. Why the importance of the I instead of we? So if you are practicing that, then you must be consistent. That's what Munya is saying.
But the idea, Mr. Mawere, is before the we, there is I. Because there's I before the we. We start with the I and then we go to the we. You, I, and you will become we. And I and the other person, I, you, and Munya will become we because we are now in the community. But the first step of the root is I.
No, all he's saying is please take notice that the medicine you are prescribing is not the one you are taking. So we are not there to argue, and I take it, Munya, it's not easy to use the I, because sometimes I also tend to think on behalf of others. So what I may be thinking it may actually not be representative, but nevertheless, I will still continue to say we because that's what I have. But the project, the initiative is to build a community founded on individual sovereignty, that you stand on your own, but you can come together, not to group your minds together. You'll still be an individual, but it becomes easier to connect with others, to share ideas with others, and even to solve problems with others. So when we are talking about building communities, we already live in communities. Harmony says, what is the conversation about? This is about the common sense of people coming together just to share ideas. The logic of it, it's self-evident that when you come together, more can be accomplished. How long are we going to continue to be talking about coming together? Bule, you need not ask what you can practice. So we are already saying we are here and provoking even a conversation around platforms. Is it my Facebook page, or can it be used to allow a broader and deeper reach so that the issues we are talking about can find expression? Yes, Ubundi says you are because I am, so the collective is we. That's again, Bule, the collective is we, but as long as we realize that each individual has got a mind of his own or her own, and you can't force somebody to think like you, to act like you, or to invite them to what is good for them. But common sense, logic, and reason would allow you to determine for yourself whether learning from others, sharing of ideas is important, experiences, insights. If it's important, then you say, look, it's good for me to belong to a community where people really take an effort to share. Even when we talk about book ribbons, we can interrogate the logic in the title, the idea behind the title, and what to expect from it, and what is at play. Well, I don't think you got my question. If you have been listening and watching, then maybe you would have understood why I ask if you're allowed to say we. Certainly, you are allowed to say we, but as long as you know that the we is inclusive of the people you are including in the we. But I'm trying to discourage where my opinion becomes the opinion of everybody. And how do people work in teams as individuals, but for the common good? But Bole, you may be persuaded to agree that it's not the common good, it's the individual good that can best find expression when it's executed in a team. A company is an association. A church is an association. Netball is an association. We build associations of people, and they use the organization as a vehicle for their own individual purposes. But they know that they can't get where they want faster without the involvement of others. So you are by default forced to use your 24 hours. And if everybody uses it for purpose, it means everybody benefits from that time. You can multiply 8 hours by 10 people, and you get 80 hours a day of human effort. Whereas if you're one, you can't be typing while you're doing something else. You can't be texting while you're driving. Something will give. That's why there are many accidents. So there is logic in coming together. But the reason why I have been asking this question, some people who come into a WhatsApp group and ask, what is the purpose of the WhatsApp group? Some people will come here and say, what is this about? You're already there. Instead of just going with the flow, somebody will ask somebody to explain. So that is the challenge that I thought, and in agreement with Elvis, that we ought to provoke thinking, deeper thinking around it. If you have found it interesting to be part of this conversation, you can say yes. If you found it useless, intimidating, you can also say no, because nobody can force you or intimidate you into silence, because you can elect not to be part of it. You can elect to be part of the conversation. Even if it's nonsense, in the nonsense there may be sense that you want to be able to benefit from. So if you have found it beneficial to talk about common sense, logic, and reason, so that you can be the judge of what other people may be sharing, to see whether the sharing reflects personal experiences or imagined experiences. This is the challenge, that even people who become president, they will have State of the Nation address. And you say, but how do you know the state of the nation? how does the state fit into your head so that you can know it better than anyone else? And we saw that yesterday. Signor was talking about the acquisition of SMM as if he was involved in it. And he had a lot of issues and said, I must explain to him how I acquired SMM because he's got a version. When you ask him, what version do you have? Where did you get it from? You get a different answer. So the question is, this conversation about building communities, one individual at a time, it is the individual who decides, who then participates just by sharing insights, experiences, ideas. I hope I'm clear. Never a dull day, but I guess the school system we went through created a particular way of thinking and doing things. And I'm not asking Bule about the school system. I'm saying this platform just to learn. Do you find it useful? Because I can't change the school system. It's designed to address diverse interests. But on the question of the day, Bule, are you seeing where an individual could start and end, and where organized groups can also have the right to limit what you can say, what you can do, which is the discussion we had with Mkoa Masimba. Somebody was upset yesterday. That's Shedza Mavingira. And she sent some nasty letter saying Mkoa Masimba defamed her. And I agreed with her that some of the words that were used yesterday by Mkoa Masimba should not have been used. And more so, if the facts in it import my name and I'm not aware of them. I knew Chieza through somebody else. I've never met her in person. If I did, I don't recall. Yet allegations were repeated yesterday. She was not here to answer for herself so that she can give her own record of the events. Unfortunately, she didn't have the opportunity to say so. That's where the community will then come in to try to balance what one says with the facts that are known to the person. So I did that. I shared the correspondence with Mkoa Masimba so that he can also understand that whatever he said is supported by facts, not that we just use platforms to talk about people without regard for the facts in it. That's where the community will then come in to say, Mkoa Masimba, where are the facts? Give us the data so that we can also know what you know. Like Signoro yesterday, he said something, and he said something about me. And without any respect for me to be able to give my own account, not his own version of what you think the account should be. You saw the communication. We're going to dig deeper with Mkoa Masimba later, as we agreed yesterday, So fine, there is always power in numbers as long as there is congruence in the expectations. Not necessarily you come into the human ecosystem. Nobody is a judge of somebody else. And that's why the issue of being intimidated is foreign. See, no birds of the same feather always flocks together. My tiro do agasiana. So that's somebody communicating something that is occurred in Agis head, and it means something, and it must mean something. But imagine it was expressed in the first instance because Sino Jengwe did communicate her own side. Now we have Agi saying Maitiro, which means people can be grouped by what they choose to do. So if I choose to be with you, I automatically become you, and I am grouped with you. So that's one civilization where the person evaporates and the group takes over. So you are guilty by association. So that's the civilization that we must guard against, where somebody becomes guilty and becomes accused simply because they associate with you. Okay, do you have any conclusion there?
I think from what Eggy is saying, it can only happen in the animal civilization that you become guilty by association. After all, we are different people, we are individuals with a different way of doing things. So I cannot be guilty by association just because I belong to the community or I belong to the union. Then I'll become guilty. So it is important to deal with the diversity so that the people will know that we have differences and the people are different. But as we are coming into the community to build a community, we are coming with the people sovereign. The people they are independent, they are sovereign, but we are coming together. So nyaya yekuti vanozviona nyaya yekuti shiri dzimwe chete dzinobhururuka pamwe chete, it can only be found in animal civilization, not in human civilization.
Yeah, so I think that's, and Bulle says managing the diversity of expectations. But who is going to manage what is in someone else's mind? Other than self-interest. You join an association because you have an interest that you want to pursue in the name of the association, rather than the association giving you the rules of what to think and what not to think. So I hope, Bulle, we can interrogate that further. We are diverse not because we want to be diverse. We were created diverse so that we complement each other. What is a country other than a community? What is a province? What is a city? So I don't know, Bulle, who do you think is born to have 25 hours, 1 extra hour to manage the diversity of expectations? Even if we come here, there are people who are bored, who would like something else. But all it takes, like the argument yesterday, Signoro believes that somebody can be a dictator on a Facebook Live. Somebody can deny somebody the right to speak when the platforms are open. Anyone can open a channel, start broadcasting without imposing something on another. But you have people who are talking about social media, somebody being prevented from doing something. So when we do something, it's not because I'm trying to stop you from doing the same. But imagine somebody comes here where the two of us are discussing and Bule, you are contributing and we're answering, then say, why are you not including me? When you are already included anyway, because the algorithm of Twitter or Facebook or whatever, even President Trump, he tweets on his own. It means what is in his mind is expressed freely and openly, but he's the president of the country. But his opinion becomes his opinion. You can't say President Trump's opinion is the opinion of all the people of the United States. He doesn't agree with many of the people that he associates with. But it doesn't make him an outcast. It just makes him part of the same community. So you still have free expression. But what logic, what common sense, what reason would compel somebody to see a danger in another person just opening the airwaves and start to broadcast? Is this still Bukure Benzi? Yes, D is still Bukure Benzi, because the person who is calling himself Benzi is the person who is writing the book. And in that, we are also compelled to learn what is Benzi and what is not. And that's what we are sharing here, that a person with common sense would then play the part of somebody else that they are not. Because when somebody says Bukure somebody, then they are already saying they know what Benzi is. And they've already classified themselves to belong to a class of outcasts. And when they do so, they also are sending a message that many of us may actually be sick. The only difference is that there are people who are sick and they say so themselves. And there are people who take an offense if they are called foolish, if they're called idiots. So, D, that is all I can say. What works for you need not work for somebody else. So, Bukure Benzi, we are trying to interrogate why Benzi would advertise his insanity, if it's true. Because the real Benzi does not write a book about being Benzi. The real sinner doesn't write a book and say this is the sinner's book. So the one who writes a book, then let's be slow to conclude and try to understand why the choice of words, why the title. Because in interrogating it, we actually may get answers to the questions that we all have. Then there is a lot of unlearning to take place so as to create open learning. That's true. If you have learned something, Bule, just say so. I've learned something. Don't put it in the words of somebody else. You can be proud enough to say, yes, today I've learned something and I will practice it. Came in late, but I'm interested in learning your opinion on the source of common sense. Does common sense exist? It's not common, but sense is in every one of us. Because there is nobody who doesn't make choices. And if you don't make choices for another person, just salute them, Tapua. Because life itself requires choices. Some make wrong choices and they pay the consequences. So reason, sense is built in us. It's unalienable. I may not think like you, but doesn't make me senseless, doesn't make me insane. It just makes me a different person. That's why I always talk about the battle of ideas. What is the idea behind common sense? There must be sense that applies to animals and sense that applies to human beings. And if our humanity is not divisible, then it follows that there must be some sense that can bridge us and make us see sense in book Rebenzi. What is book Rebenzi? Let us dig deeper so that we can find meaning in it than dismissing it because of the author. But the content in it could be enriching. And that's why I agreed to talk to the allegations made by Signor, and you can listen to it as I close so that you have Signor's own words, and then we can be able to build on what Signor is saying, and it will help us to talk to Mkoma Masimba on this chapter that included me yesterday. So I can then be able to give you my own. So in building bridges, all that is need is respect, not common sense. Respect someone's sense that may not be common. Just respect that sense. It doesn't mean respect in the abstract. It means respect somebody and don't assume what is sensible to you is sensible to somebody else. This is what was shared.
Number one, doctor in numbers. Number one, number two, a comments in and shungu zao anoda put ataka go deeper. Achiti ndimi ndizwe pass. But the go deeper iwe shambani. Ndiri kutumwa ndiri charge. But charge in Zimbabwe, ndiri charge nichi ndikura muna kuona manje. Ndipo nikumira kuchaji yangu. But the bokura manje. Akarongeka manje. The show uja charge. Akapotaka chishwa mastructure chipa mastructure zangu. Akazifunzwa na mutumwa. Anonzani mutumwa. Indirani ndine mutumwa zvakare. Pari kulinga kapa. Profit chopara kulinga futi ai pari kuprofit standing kachite. Anona mavheke evidence with mutumwa. Zimbabwe 1996. Wow, what was it? In a known black businessman is acquired Japan Mashomai. Agarira in a known didn't even happen in us today. Imagine, Russo will go to Garuso, one of the Shams of the Japan, and as Marutuman. Mutuma in a pan, I didn't pay as a draft. But I'm going to challenge us this, that is, I guess, this is a pass of a good. So I'm capture. But when you're not one, Nitaka kuwa ni time na hii. Sasa hiyo unaweza na mtuma pana hapo uzonite unakupata $10 yako chiti. Right, wajana chiti lapia. Bisi takarumika. Pagori TV station is the TV. So TV yangu nataka na 7 PM every day to baby. Puzi right now ndio kwa ngoto kumelewa mpishe. Sasa kama part of this TV, subscription yako mfiro wa TV $30 chiti. Sasa simura ina wa infete pande watu wale shambita pana. Iba hapo kacha zona makomeni za watu sikuwa nchama hiki. Yes na wiki leo. Yes, why?
I be excused. Tell them I should go and do the at Tugana Masimba. Kana Sitaura Bataimazu. Kana Masimba Staura Bataimazu. Kana Anishaka Staura Bataimazu. When we say every life matters, there are voices in those lives. I will speak more when my weather is here. Mashallah mine. The reason why all this was triggered, I'll put the headline. Mawere Angari Mjiba was PF. You do not get a government grant or supported grant if you are not part of the system, or if you are not Mjiba of the system, or if you are not. Don't interrupt me. This is important not for you, for the Zimbabwean community. The answer to what you ask. Those are all is it not true that he got the financial support through a government grant? Yes, the government is not smart, was not smart. Is it not true that the government has got a tendency of supporting people and wanting to abuse those people? If those people Jamuka, those for real, they'll catch you. So, summary of the headline, I think I'll put it straight. I will not go deeper. I'll put it in a question. As Mawere always says, shall we discuss that? Shall we not inquire from Mawere that is it not true that he got a grant which was supported? He was fortunate out of the millions of Zimbabweans to have a grant that him supported by the government. That's on political lines. And according to politics, he is a hard-working person whom they supported. According to him, he is a hard-working person, he's not getting support from anyone. Then there was a clash. Now he ran away from Zimbabwe. They put him act of parliament. I will not go further than this. If you approve that question to be taken forward, as a lead to your question, so rather to the answer, or rather, as a lead to the answer of your question, which relates to where Mawere got the finance. The finance is to buy SML, an Anglo-American company. It's up to you, you can approve. But don't fool don't fool anybody. There are people who are do not say $20 to a pyramid. I'm done. Thank you very much.
So you heard Signor, and that is the essence of this issue. And we are going to discuss and dig deeper into this. And George Garawade says, common sense is not common. Neither there is university for common sense. It is a rare commodity. Sense is in all of us. There is nobody who has better sense than another. But when we share our thinking, then somebody may be persuaded to see the world the same way you see it. And some may still be stubborn. Even if you give them facts, they will not take the facts. They will rather stay in their lane of ignorance about other things. And some may even pretend to know better than what they are capable of knowing. Thank you very much.